Hey, what's going on guys? My name's Better and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be going through my YCS Sydney Rikka Sunavalon deck profile. I ended up bubbling the event with this deck. I did really well. After day 1, I was ranked 30th, so I was essentially guaranteed to top 32 if I just won my next round on day 2. But unfortunately, I lost to the best player in Australia. So it is what it is. We got really close to the deck and I'm still really proud of what I did. Now, I ended up going 2-8 on die rolls, and I still made it as far as I did, which I feel is a pretty big achievement, right? It's a going first combo deck, and I was losing die rolls and 2-0ing fire decks for fun the entire event. And I think that really does go to show that the deck building I had going into the YCS was really strong and something that I think everybody can learn from. Like, there's just some things I've done that I think other players haven't done yet that I feel like might be the correct move going forward for the Rikka deck. Today we'll just be doing the deck profile. In the future I'll do a video on how to play through hand traps, or how to side going with this deck, or how you go second with this deck. Like, what are the lines going second, because they have changed with the new Aroma support. It is no longer just Thrasher or make a board, beat them with it really hard. Things have changed, and there is now a method to the madness. So, before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to Mo and NMT from the Plant Discords for helping me build and test this list, as well as giving me some of the ideas for my deck building today. 3. Lokai. I play 51 cards. You need Lokai as a starter. Twin. 2 Sowing. So the reason I play 2 Sowing is because I know people like Jess have said that they only play 1, because when you only have 1 Dryas, you only search 1 Sowing. Like, you can't search on the follow-up, so why would you play 2? And to that, I think it misses one of the great selling points of Sowing this format, which is, if you normal Lokai and you make the Dryas, it is never resolving. Everybody's playing 3 Imperm, 3 Veiler, even 3 Mourner. It is always getting negated. And if it gets negated by hard drawing Sowing, you then beat that hand trap and you end on the full board minus Regulus. You end on Hyperion, Con, Sheet, Banker Lancer, Strenna, Princess, Sheet, Strenna, Con. Did I miss something? It's that board. It's the old Rikka board, just without the Regulus. So it's a super strong card to draw. It's basically called by the grave for everything not named Ash. Next, 3 die, 1 for 1. 1 for 1 goes out, die goes out saying 1 for 1 because it can summon Lokai, your starter. It can summon Petal, which then grabs Princess to beat Nibiru. Very important in this format. Or it can search Rosalina, which is an extender. So it is kind of everything in this deck. You have 3 really good targets for it. Moving on, 1 Petal, just the 1. It is the worst normal summon in the deck, so you really don't want to be playing more of it. In theory, the second does come up where you only draw Rikkas and you go Reborn the Petal. Then you go Glamour for Petal Lokai. But in practice, it just never really came up, and whenever you did want to use the Glamour stuff, there was always something else you could have been doing that was fine enough. It was never game determinative, like it never decided games. 3 Princess, yeah, goes without saying, great card, negate, 3 body, 2 Redon, and 1 Snowdrop. And that's it for the Rikka monsters. Only these guys. So some of you guys might have noticed, where's Prim? I'm not playing Prim. That's right, I don't play Primula in this deck. And the reason I don't play Primula is because Primula is essentially a soft Garnet. Yes, Primula can help you extend, but it's a super conditional extender. And even when you can summon her, that body never does that much. The reason you play Strenna is that you just want the ability to go Glamour for Strenna, and do that by getting Princess Prep. Now what I'm going to say is that whenever you can do that, there is always something else you can be doing if you know what you're doing, and as a result, this card becomes redundant in your deck. Let's start by what about you go second. When you go second, you never want to search Primula of Glamour. You'd always rather search Snowdrop and Lily Boreal, because there are big beaters that will help you get into Teardrop, which is more removal and another big beater, so they're just better to search going second. What about when you go first? Well, on the follow-up, you can argue that you want to grab a Strenna to recur resources from the grave. I hear that. However, you can do that without Primula. What you do is you end on a mid board, just a slightly worse board. You end on Bankerlancer, Strenna, Concon, Sheet, Princess, Regulus. What you might notice is we don't summon Hyperion. We keep the Hyperion in the extra deck, and as a result, we end up keeping the Snowdrop in our main deck. What we can then do is on the follow-up go Concon, set Glamour, tribute an opponent's monster, grab Snowdrop, grab Lily Boreal. Boreal can then target a Regulus in your grave, boom, Nagita's back. Snowdrop can then summon herself with a Princess that you grab off Petal. That's your Strenna. So you don't need a Primula. The only other case where you want to glam for Strenna is if you get hand trapped to death and you want to make the Strenna quickly. Only problem, if you need the Princess negate, you can just add Princess no tribute, or if you don't have Concon, you can grab Moodon for Concon sheet. Sometimes, yes, you'll be like, oh, I would get one more interruption with the Strenna if I search the Primula as well. But it is what it is. It is such a small sacrifice to make for not needing to play this bricky card in your deck. I think it's worth it. If you know what you're doing, if you make the board I mentioned and manage your resources well, you don't need the Primula, you just don't. And you cut a Garnet from your deck. Who wouldn't want to do that? Then you play 2 Concon, 2 Glamour. I know 3 was the old standard, but 2 is becoming the new standard. Now, in her video, Jess said that she plays 2 because you search all the Rikkas anyway, so Rhoda becomes less valuable. I agree with that assessment. However, the real reason I play 2 Glamour is that, well, first of all, you need 2 as an engine requirement. You can't cut to 1, because often you'll use one turn 1, and then you'll need to set the second for follow-up. Like as I described, Concon set Glam is critical to your follow-up in this deck. The reason I don't play the third is because the third, like Glamour in general, is really bad going second. Why is it bad going second? Because what you want to do go second is you want to go Concon, set the Glamour, tribute an opponent's body, and then grab Snowdrop Lily Boreal. That's a +3 of Concon alone, and you get so many big bodies to then hit the opponent with. The problem with Glamour is if you use it early, then you have to go Concon, set Sheet, and now you're contesting follow-up, which is a lot harder this format because Fire King Snake Eye has S tier follow-up. So that's why I don't play the third Glamour. Next up, Therion package. I think you have to play this package this format. If you don't play this, you'll realize the deck is so much worse into hand traps. These cards help you do so much into hand traps. Boreal, we play at 3. If you play 2 Boreal, if you play these cards, and you play anything less than 3 Boreal, I think you're wrong. I think you have to be playing 3 Boreal if you play these 2. Reason? Because when you go first, you always want to draw Boreal. Boreal helps you beat Ash, Imperm, Nib, Veiler, everything. Not named Droll or Shifter, Boreal beats by opening. So you want to hard open this as much going first as possible. Even if you get Drolled, it's still a body. Like, that's not bad, right? A body is a body, so you'd always want to draw this going first. Going second, this still contests their board. If they have something, they will try and negate or pop the Lily Boreal because they know Boreal, Disco, right? Like Boreal is a known card to do that. So they're incentivized to get rid of the Boreal to prevent you from getting to these 2 cards. So at worst, Boreal trades 1 for 1, which for engine is good. That's pretty good for an engine card. And sometimes it ends up trading 2 for 1 if you get lucky. So I think you want to draw this card every time going first, you want to draw it every time going second. Why wouldn't you play 3? Now onto the new cards, the Aroma Engine. 3 Rosa, it's a very good normal summon, best one going second, so I play 3. 1 Laurel. That's it for the Aroma monsters. So a lot of other lists you will see play 2 Laurel and or 1 Angelica, but I don't play those, and the reason is very similar for why I don't play Primula. You are introducing a lot of new bricks to your deck with the Aroma cards you play. So you want to actively minimize the number of bricks in your deck, because you have Regulus, Twin, Sheet, Primula. If you play more Laurels, Angelica, these are all bricks. I've seen people argue that these two are extenders, but just like Primula, they're super conditional. When your extender is super conditional, it is essentially just a garnet. Like Angelica doesn't do anything unless you're already playing. That's essentially just a garnet. Because you're already playing, like it doesn't matter, you're winning anyway. But if you're not playing, this card is as good as, I don't know, a trap card. It does nothing. Now, let's talk about the second Laurel. So the reason people play the second Laurel is because on the follow-up, you will search a Rosa, summon the second Laurel. My argument is that if you manage your resources well, like if you draw a lot of engine, you actively recur with Jasmine, like rather than searching more combo pieces with Jasmine, you just add follow-up, or keeping a Jasmine on field, and then gaining life on the opponent's turn to add more follow-up, or doing the Con Glamour stuff that I just told you guys before. All of that is super strong follow-up. Think about it. If you go Rosalina for Laurel into a Jasmine, what is that adding? Rickers, Lily Borea. Just have them in hand already. Then you don't need the second Laurel. Like if you actively try and keep follow-up in hand, if you know what you're doing, you just don't need the second Laurel. The cards you're adding that you would with the second Laurel, you can add anyway, or already in your hand. So you don't need it. You don't need to play the extra brick. You just don't. Angelica, the reason people play Angelica is because Angelica helps you extend through hand traps. Sort of well. My argument with that is that these two cards you play, Blend and Humid, are already enough to help you play through hand traps well. Right? This 2-card package is already super strong at helping you play through hand traps. I don't think you need the Angelica. It just makes it better, but it is already super strong. And I don't think it justifies what it does enough for the added brick in your deck. There is one very specific line with Lokai Princess where this helps you play on the nib, but this deck is actually not that bad on the nib. There's always a way to play under it in most of your hands, so I don't really feel like this card is needed. So end of the day, why don't I play Angelica the second Laurel? They're both bricks that I don't feel like do enough to justify their place in the deck. The second Laurel, because you can play without it. The only time you ever want second Laurel is when you draw these two together in your hand, and this can't summon from deck. But pretty much everybody knows that, like, in this scenario, you always play 3-1 anyway, especially when you can still play even if you only draw these two. Yeah. So that's why we don't play the Angelica or the second Laurel. They don't do enough to justify their bricky slot in the deck. Now we move on to these two. Now these two cards are the reason I made it as far as I did at the YCS. I think no matter what you take away from this deck profile, I don't care. Just play these two cards if you aren't already. You add this off the Link 3, which then places this. Going second, these two break boards, because the Humid you place summons a shitload of bodies, which then the Link 3 contribute to banish cards on field, or make another Jasmine to gain life with, and then add more cards. Or, Blend summons Diffusion, and Diffusion is a non-target banish that helps your monsters gain attack equal to life you gain. So you have a bunch of big beaters, 2 non-target banishes, potentially more Jasmine searches, off just these two cards. I think you have to play them. These are so integral to breaking boards now with this deck that I feel like if you don't play these two, you're trolling. You're just not playing this deck optimally. I think this is the one thing that everybody I know who's been successful with this deck, this format, agrees on. These two. And the reason we play Humid over Blessed is because Humid is better at extending going first, like playing through hand traps, because Humid has 2 effects, and those 2 effects allow you to summon the Rosalina you add using the Link 3, and as a result, you can keep extending. Blessed can't do that. Blessed is better in the grind game, but this card is not bad in the grind game. You get a Rikka every turn, and you gain life every turn, which can trigger Jasmine's in field to grab follow-up. It's good enough, right? Like, it's good enough in the grind, and it's the best one at helping you extend through hand traps. And also, this makes Blend a 1-card starter. So, if you played Blessed, you would have 2 bricks. If you played Humid, 1 brick. And why don't we play more Blend? Well, the reason is because Blend is a 1-card starter, but it is a -1 to play. You immediately discard, making it quite bad going second, so I don't feel like playing more of the Blend. Same reason why I don't play Small World. Now, Small World is a card I have considered in this deck, and I will keep on considering, because Small World is better than Blend at being an extender, because Small World is more copies of Lily Boreal, as well as Lokai, or Rosalina. You can search anything, whereas Blend is restricted into searching aromas. So there is a world where you play Small in this deck. I just don't like these 2 cards because they go -1 to play going second, which is really, really bad. You never want a -1 to play going second. Like, you need every card in your hand, especially in this format, because decks are so punishing. Like, they can just trade for every card in your hand. Like, it is very, very rough, I can't lie. So that's why I don't play these 2. I can see a world where I play 3 Small World, but not in this format, I don't think. Lone Fire, needed for combos. Next up, Non-Engine, Ash, Imperm, Valor, Nib, Hand Traps. I tried to make breakers work, it didn't work. You just can't use breakers in this format. You gotta hand trap fire. It sucks, but it is what it is. Triple Tactics. Unlike other breakers, this is really strong on first, and it does sort of pair well with the other hand traps, so I still play 3 talents. Very good anti-hand trap card. It's ever in this format, always live. I think it's a solid card. Hand Rip, Change Your Heart, very nice effects. 1 Chord Buy, very similar idea. A lot of hand traps this format. And Chord Buy is good going second, because you can hit Garunix, you can hit Princess, you can hit Flamberge. Just a lot of good cards to hit Chord Buy. Rivalry. Rivalry is good, because what happens is you can break their board, and then you have to beat their follow-up. What you do is you go, draw phase, and then the game's over. Because what happens with Fire is a lot of the times their board isn't that big. But what kills you is the amount of follow-up they keep in hand, or like in the grave. Like, there's just so many resources that they can hit you back with. If you just flip Rivalry, all those resources are meaningless. So you just break their board, even half break their board, flip their Rivalry in draw phase, and then you win the game. So I think Rivalry is just super, super good in this format. I play 3 if I could. Obviously, because I played the 1, but yeah. Super strong card. There is like a world where you play 2 more hand traps with these 2. Like, if you choose to do that, like, I think that's fine. Like, it is what it is, but I really do like these 2 cards. Chord Buy and Rivalry. Extra deck. Dryas, Healer. Where's my Thrasher? There it is. Thrasher, Dance Peony, 2 Jasmine. Now, the reason I play 2, people say that you need a 3rd for follow-up. I disagree. You can keep a Jasmine on the field, you're reborn of Twin, and that's good enough. Like, the 2 Jasmines you have should already either be adding follow-up into your hand, or getting it into a state where you already have plenty of ways to access follow-up on your next turn, either via Petal, Glamour, or just keeping one on field and gaining with human wins to trigger the Jasmine to add more follow-up on the opponent's turn and then your next turn. Any combos that need 3 Jasmine are not real. I will preface by saying this. Any combos you learn online that use 3 Jasmine, don't pay attention to them. They're not good. Any respectable combo with this deck only uses 2 Jasmine for the combo. And then you keep the third in your deck, in your extra deck, for follow-up. Don't be fooled by triangle Jasmine combos. They're not real. Don't listen to that. Don't do those. Alright. Link 3, Rosemary, Melius, Benji, 4 Xyz, the Fusion, your non-target banish, big beaters, very nice card, best card going second, and SP. Yeah. SP is a card that it just comes up when it comes up, like it really does come up every like 8 or 10 games or so, like 8 or 10 matches or so. If you don't have SP, because it is an expensive card, just pick the Jasmine. I think there are 3 cards that fight for slots 14 and 50 in this deck, being these 3. By the way, Thrasher is really good for adding SP Little Knight. You go Dryas hit, summon Thrasher, target Dryas 1600, or damage step, so they can't respond, Dryas hit SP. These 3 cards, in my opinion, SP, the Jasmine, Thrasher, fight for slots 14 and 15 in your deck. Whichever of the 3 you pick, I think is fine. I pick these 2 because I feel like when you play the deck properly and you keep follow-up in your hand and you keep recurring it, and you make boards that don't go through your entire deck's resources, you don't need third Jasmine. I prefer the utility of these 2. But whatever combination you pick, like these 2, I think is fine. It's fine. Alright, now the side deck. 3 DD Crow, because Purely is everywhere in Sydney. If you're in a region with no Purely, I would play Bistials. 2 Droll, I couldn't fit the third. I'll show you where you can put the third Droll, if you want. 3 Evenly, I was scared of Rogue and Stun. Didn't verse a single one this event. I didn't side evenly 1 time. So it is what it is, right? But I feel like you just have to play it as insurance against rogue decks. So if you're at like a smaller level event, such a crucial card, I feel. Triple Cosmic, out summon limit, good into Fire King, good into Voiceless. Generally good card to have. Like you side this no matter what because of summon limit and you have to beat that. But the fact that it's good into like Fire King or Voiceless, it has good targets to hit even if they don't summon limit you, is a really good reason why I think you should play Cosmic. Triple Droplet, really good into Voiceless. I sided this into Pure. It's strong into Pure because the board isn't as layered as Fire King. So I feel like Droplet just does a good job. I get rid of the IP and then I can play, or like the IP and then negates and whatever, and then I can play. And I just think that's really, really important into that deck. Very good into Voiceless. Generally, whenever I draw this card was always very good, performed really well. And it can also hit random broke decks like Centurion, for example. Rosewhip. This card, I summoned 1 time the entire tournament, and the time I summoned it, it did nothing. The reason you play this card, like I would have won regardless. The reason you play this card is because some people don't know how to deck build. And they side into Rikka board breakers like Duster, Lightning, Cosmic. You don't do that into Rikka. You don't. But people don't know that. So I just kept Rosewhip because I was scared of what was going to happen if I didn't play it. Like I just get blown out by 3 board breakers. In retrospect, I feel like you can cut this card and play the third Droll, for example. Something like that would be nice. This is also why I don't like Cactus Bouncer and Little Jasmine, because against the fire decks, you should never side it in, because you're never summoning it into the fire decks. Like you're just not. You're never summoning it, because they always hand trap you and you'll never get there. So if they hand trap you though, you can make a smaller board and be fine. because you know that their hand isn't all gas. They already used half their hand on hand traps. Like, it is what it is. So I really don't think you need to play this in Downstar or Roseweb. I just played it anyway for insurance, but I think you can cut them. Alright, that wraps up the deck profile today. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hopefully I get you guys the follow-up videos on like siding or going second or playing through hand traps to you guys as soon as possible. I'll try my best, but no guarantees. So yeah, thank you guys for watching today. Have a good day, stay safe, and don't get run over by a truck. Nice.